1.05 meters per second. From Starliner's view, front of station is still fairly dark, using mostly the LiDAR sensor for feature tracking on the front of the docking, No. 2 forward docking port. Currently, you can see Starliner's NASA docking system, NDS. The docking cover has been open for a long period of flight. Currently, the docking ring on the soft capture system is retracted. That's the inner metal ring on the front of NDS with the 3 pedals sticking out from it. Once we hit the 10-meter docking hold point, Starliner will extend the soft capture system, which is a series of motor-controlled arms. Once we start moving forward after the 10-meter hold point, those arms will remain extended. Starliner will approach the international docking adapter. Upon contact, there are several spring-loaded latches that will attach Starliner to station. Then, several minutes later, the arms on that soft capture system will retract. From there are several hooks that will securely latch Starliner onto that docking port, and then from there we will have hard capture. Right now we're currently coming up on 16 meters away.
And again, we anticipate holding at that 10-meter hold point. This is a built-in hold, and we may wait here until we get ideal lighting. The International Space Station and Starliner are flying over Algeria and about to cross into an orbital nighttime. Again, we see about 16 sunrises and sunsets each day when traveling at orbital velocity. That's 17,500 miles per hour. In terms of relative velocity right now, Starliner is traveling at about 0.05 meters per second. And to translate that, that's about 1/10 of a mile an hour as it moves in toward the International Space Station.
Meter hold confirmed.
Houston copies, and Starliner, we're expecting 6-minute lighting hold before NDS configures for docking.
Okay. Station Houston on the big loop. Starliner's at the 10-meter hold point. ISS crew perform 1.106, step 1.2.
Station copies on the big loop, executing 1.2 of 1.106. ISS crew ready for final approach.
Houston copies.
Starliner Houston, got your fill-ins for your step 31. The maneuver to target align will be at 17:27:40. Expect final approach at 17:30. We're going to have 47 minutes of margin.
Okay, 17:27:40.
40 and final approach 1730. We don't know if you said 40 or 00.
It was going to be, well, the time for final approach 17:30:00 with 47 minutes of margin, 47.
Okay, 00 with 47 minutes of margin, copy.
Starliner holding steady in the 10-meter hold point. Currently about 3 minutes and 50 seconds away until for the first phase of the 10-meter hold. We're waiting for better lighting for Starliner's cameras. In the second phase of the 10-meter hold, the NASA docking system will continue to finish its initialization.
Starliner appears suspended in space as it and the International Space Station continue traveling at over 17,000 miles per hour. And again, we are anticipating an orbital nighttime here shortly. We are at the 10-meter hold point. This is a built-in hold for all arrivals. And we will continue holding here until we get the lighting that the teams are looking for to continue to press in towards that node 2 forward port.
With this close-up view, you can actually get a pretty good view of what the Vesta cameras look like and where they are. Those are the two black rectangular shapes in the upper right and bottom left of that front docking port area. There's also an additional camera offset to the left, just above the orange data connection. Those cameras are spread out in different locations to help better track different features on the front of the International Docking Adapter.
And we are again in a satellite handover with the International Space Station. Station uses the tracking and data relay satellite systems, and we expect to regain visual communication shortly. However, we will still be at that 10-meter hold point. Again, the docking window opens at 12:33 p.m. Central Time. And we are in an automated piloting for the Starliner spacecraft, so Butch and Sunny are able to continue monitoring its approach once we resume that, but they will not be needed to take manual control and fly in and dock the spacecraft. That capability does exist, and we tested some of that manual piloting earlier in the flight.
Houston, we just hit 10 meter hold 2. We're putting step 32 in work, if you're ready.
We are ready.
Again, Houston.
We are ready.
Okay, here goes, step 32.
Here we go. Roger.
All right, NDS latch NEA switch is in enable.
Roger. Starliner reactivating Mustang.
Okay.
Continuing to hold at the 10-meter point while the NASA docking system extends the docking ring, or the soft capture ring, I should say. Now less than 10 minutes away from the opening of the next docking window, again that coming at 12:33 p.m. Central Time.
Starliner, Houston on a big loop, NDS and entry cover are configured for docking.
Starliner copies, we're ready.
Capcom Neil Nagata and Commander Butch Wilmore both confirming that they see NDS ready for docking. We're currently sitting about 1 minute 55 seconds away from the final approach ignition. During the last 10 meters, you'll see Starliner approach at a very slow rate, similar to the last 50 meters that we saw coming in the approach corridor.
The view on the right of your screen in the larger box, that's from Starliner's Vesta cameras. This helps Starliner align with the International Space Station. Again, we are docking to the Node 2 forward port today. Window opens at 12:33 p.m. Central Time.
And we're looking about 30 seconds away from the final approach.
Starliner, Houston on the big loop. You are go to command final approach with tap stop 4, OFM, trigger next.
Here comes Sunny's putting in the trigger next. Tap stop 4.
Station Houston on the big loop. For ISS crew, perform 1.106 steps 1.3 and 1.4.
Station copies, executing 1.3, 1.4, 1.106.
And the Starliner crew have gotten the authority to proceed for the final approach. Starliner is currently at just over 9 meters away, approaching at about 0.05 meters per second, or 5 centimeters per second, towards the Node 2 forward docking port.
Again, NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore, the commander, and Sonny Williams, the pilot, on the crew flight test today. This is an autonomous docking, meaning they are monitoring from inside Starliner, but the spacecraft is currently flying itself. Starliner now less than 7 meters away from the International Space Station. All good calls on the ground.
Estimated time of contact is 2 minutes.
Now approximately 5 meters.
And Starliner passing through 4 meters.
Now less than 3 meters away from the International Space Station. Good performance calls coming from teams in mission control.
Starliner at 1.5 meters away, currently about 25 seconds from docking. Point 0.5 meters.
Contact capture.
We see the same.
At 12:34 p.m. Central Time above the southern Indian Ocean, we have confirmation of contact and capture of NASA's Boeing Crew Flight Test and Starliner aboard the International Space Station. Butch and Sunny have made their arrival.
Starliner's soft capture system has finished attenuating any motion after initial capture. Next step for the NASA docking system is to retract its extension arms to allow the hooks on the hard capture system to attach to the docking port on the Node 2 forward international docking adapter.
And with the arrival of Starliner, again, that coming at 12:34 p.m. Central Time, we have 2 American crewed spacecraft aboard the International Space Station. And with contact and capture of the Starliner spacecraft, we are now securing the spacecraft to that Node 2 forward port. First step in that is ring retraction of the NASA docking system soft capture ring. Once that's complete, there are 12 hooks that will need to drive and more firmly secure the spacecraft. Those will happen in 2 sets of 6. This takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes after the spacecraft arriving to the International Space Station.
Houston Station on the big loop, thrusters disabled for hard maintenance.
Houston copies.
We're now about 6.5 minutes after initial contact and capture of the soft capture system. We can expect the hard capture hooks to start anytime after about 7 minutes from that soft capture time frame. So while we're waiting for the NASA docking system on the Starliner side to finish completing its docking procedure, let's go over to the International Space Station flight control room.
Hey, thank you, Jim. We're following along every step of the way here in the International Space Station flight control room. Flight Director Judd Freeling working hand in hand with the teams over with you over in the Starliner Mission Control, ensuring that everybody's following the joint flight rules that are necessary. There's Judd Freeling in the forward end. To his left is Diana Trujillo, working to monitor all the different steps together. Will Vu over to Vince's right is to Vincent LaCourt's right is Will Vu, the voice from Mission Control here in Houston, up to the crew aboard the International Space Station. Space Station has a couple of maneuvers in order to proceed with the next steps of retracting the NASA docking system ring on the Starliner. The thrusters need to be disabled on the International Space Station side, and the International docking adapter must be aligned with the NASA docking system. Teams here in Mission Control Houston verifying all of those have passed. So we're following along to proceed towards a hard capture. Again, we had soft capture confirmed at 12:34 p.m. Central Time. The hard capture secures Starliner to the International Space Station. Expect to hear some words from the crew after that hard docking is complete. In the meantime, lots to follow along with to ensure a safe docking, a safe hard docking of Starliner to the International Space Station. A couple of steps. Now, of course, after that hard dock is complete, we still have to go ahead and open up the hatches, so the teams here will remain on console and follow along through the methodical steps necessary to pressurize the vestibule in between Starliner and the International Space Station. That vestibule is the International Docking Adapter. Right now it has been exposed to vacuum, awaiting for Starliner's arrival. Once Starliner is hard docked, they'll follow procedures in order to pressurize that vestibule from 0 psi to match that of Starliner and the International Space Station, same as we have here at sea level, 14.7 psi. That will take some time in order to accomplish. Now, because we docked on the second opportunity here, the second docking window that we were tracking as part of the flight to the International Space Station, we'll follow along to provide estimated times of hatch opening and the welcome ceremony, where the Expedition 71 crew will formally welcome the two first-time flyers of Starliner to the International Space Station, Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, the first to fly the Boeing Starliner. Bringing you live views from here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Flight Director Vincent LaCourte talking with the flight control team. We're all waiting for the hard capture of Starliner to the International Space Station. Again, soft capture confirmed at 12:34 p.m. Central Time. We're in a short handover period, so we do not quite have live views from the International Space Station. Should hopefully be regaining those shortly to show you some live views of the spacecraft, the two spacecraft docked together, International Space Station and the Starliner. Fellow Flight Director TJ Creamer was just passing behind Vincent LaCourte and Diana Trujillo. Lots of team members here in Mission Control Houston following along through the steps after docking the Starliner to the International Space Station. Visiting Vehicle Officer Dory Tomeko is following along with the teams over in the Starliner flight control room. The visiting vehicle officer, a console position here in Mission Control Houston that works very closely with any visiting vehicle spacecraft. The choreography necessary to safely dock and hard capture a visiting vehicle to the International Space Station must be carefully coordinated, and even events on board the International Space Station must be coordinated as well. Again, we talked about the attitude control systems with thrusters inhibited on the space station. Right now, control moment gyros are the ones that are holding the International Space Station in place until after the hard capture, when those thrusters can be re-enabled. There's also an exercise constraint on board the International Space Station, trying to limit the vibrations during dynamic operations of docking two spacecraft together at 17,500 miles an hour. For those just tuning in, we do have a contact and soft capture of the Starliner spacecraft to the International Space Station. Butch Wilmore, Sonny Williams, currently at the forward end of the space station inside the Starliner spacecraft. Teams here in Mission Control Houston, the International Space Station Flight Control Team working hand in hand with Starliner Flight Control right down the hall here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. The teams are now working through carefully choreographed procedures to ensure a hard docking to the International Space Station. After soft capture is confirmed, there is a series of very critical steps in order for that NASA docking system ring to retract on the Starliner spacecraft, pulling in the spacecraft for a hard dock. At this time, all the flight controllers you see here in the room are watching over those systems and following those procedures very carefully. This is not the first time that Starliner has docked to the International Space Station. Of course, we did have Starliner dock as part of the uncrewed flight demonstration that was OFT-2. This is the first docking with crew inside. Of course, Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, both NASA astronauts, awaiting for their arrival aboard the International Space Station. We'll be providing you periodic updates and continuing our coverage through the entire procedure, including the hard dock and welcome of the Starliner crew to the International Space Station. Again, we'll remain on air continuously through the entire procedure of hard docking to the International Space Station. The docking of Starliner to the International Space Station leaves a small gap called a vestibule in between the station and the Starliner. That vestibule is currently at vacuum, and methodically over the next few hours needs to be, once of course hard dock is confirmed, needs to be pressurized up to sea level to match that of the internal pressure of Starliner and the International Space Station at 14.7 psi. We'll follow along from both sides, from the space station side as well as the Starliner side. Crew aboard the International Space Station will work through procedures to open up the different hatches and prepare the pressurized mating adapter for welcoming Butch and Sonny inside the orbital complex. There are many steps in order to outfit the pressurized mating adapter and prepare for their arrival, including opening up various hatches, including the Node 2 forward hatch and what's called the APES hatch. This is the hatch on the station side. On the Starliner side, the hatch is called the IVA, and that will be opened as well to allow a clear path for Butch and Sonny to enter into the International Space Station.
Starliner, all hooks are closed.
Houston copies. We agree, and we're just waiting for the sequence to complete.
Again, you're getting live views from the International Space Station Flight Control Room. On the forward end of the screens there, you see some of the camera is set up in the Node 2 module of the International Space Station. This is at the very forward end. The hatch that you're looking at in this view is the Node 2 forward hatch. That is one of 3 that will be needed to be open in order to welcome Butch and Sonny to the International Space Station. Currently closed as part of the docking operations.
Starliner Houston on the big loop. We've all been waiting a little while for this call. That was an OK 3-wire, Fly Navy, docking complete.
Okay, indeed. Nice to be attached to the big city in the sky.
And from the ISS Flight Control Team, congratulations to all NASA and Boeing teams on this historic day. Butch and Sonny, nicely done. Welcome back to the ISS.
Outstanding. Great place to be. We're looking forward to staying here for a couple of weeks and getting all the things done in Starliner that we need to get done, and also on station, ready to work. Welcome aboard, Starliner.
Starliner Capcom, Neil Nagata on the right in your screen, flanked to his side by NASA astronaut Mike Fink. To the left of Neil, Starliner Flight Director Ed Van Cise.
We're going to call that the big time.
Yeah, you have its attention.
I said we're going to call that the big time approach and controlled collision, and the Claire Moore grab, grapple, cinch, and hold.
All right, roger that. It's on the record now.
Butch and Sonny, of course, very much looking forward to entering the International Space Station, the crew aboard the space station as well.
Starliner Houston on the big loop.
Station's here.
With the residue report on the outside of the Starliner hatch, we're going to work hatches one at a time, starting on the ISS side. So after A pass hatch open for TC, this is 1.302 step 5.6. Let us know if you smell anything off nominal. If you do, close the hatch and egress and we'll talk. But if things are good, we'll take some photos of the Starliner hatch, and assuming that we're still good, we'll work to get the Starliner hatch opened.
Okay, a copy in 1.302. Say again the step. I've got a...
Not a problem, TC. Step 5.6 is the actual A-pass hatch opening.
Okay, that may be another...
TC, we're just giving you a big picture right now, so...
One more thing from Starliner.
Go ahead, Starliner.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
TC, we're not ready for you to get into those steps yet. We'll let you know when we are ready. And one additional point here, we want you to focus those photos and your inspection on the actual window in the hatch.
Roger that. Photos on the actual window hatch.
So we're not sure everyone involved, but certainly great work by Flight and the prop team and whoever else was working to get us attached here. So fantastic. We're proud of you.
And we appreciate that down here, Butch. Starliner Houston, on the big loop, I'm ready for you to pick up in step 1 of 1.302, the CST-100 post-docking leak checks and ingress.
Station Houston on the big loop for TC. We're ready for you to perform step 2.1 and 1.302.
Copy and work.
Starliner Houston big loop, just be advised we're deactivating Mustang for your suit doffing activities. I'll let you know when it's off.
Hey, and can you say the procedure one more time? We were screwing around doing other things.
No worries. 1.302, that's the first green block on your activity, on your timeline, CST hatch leak check. And that's step 1 only, please.
Step 1, CST hatch leak check.
Lots happening right now. Congratulations in the Starliner flight control room. Handshakes all around. The crew is carefully awaiting confirmation of hard dock to proceed with the next steps. Of course, opening up the hatches and welcoming Butch and Sonny to the International Space Station. The contact and soft capture was confirmed at 12:34 p.m. Central Time. Teams in the room there in Starliner, Mission Control, celebrating the arrival of Butch and Sonny. We're hearing on both ends, on the Starliner end and on the International Space Station end, proceeding to open up the hatches. Celebration here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room as well. Excitement all around to welcome Butch and Sonny on board. Again, it'll be a number of hours before we go ahead and open up those hatches. These steps to safely do so are very methodical. We'll follow along and continue our coverage every step of the way and give you updates on estimated times of the hatch opening and the welcome ceremony. The Mustang system that you heard referred to on the loops there is the internal camera system. Hope to...
I know you got the numbers, but 1.2 is 14.8, 14.8.01. We're in our 10-minute wait. We started about 30 seconds ago.
Okay, yeah, copy that. Hey, Butch, say again the time.
Oh, 200.
Roger.
I stand by. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. That's my from TPI counter. Make that 0445.
And Starliner, Houston, Big Loop, the Mustang cameras are off OFF.
Well, it's a wonderful day in both of the flight control rooms here in Houston. Starliner flight control teams and International Space Station flight control teams, as well as the crew aboard the International Space Station and inside Starliner, all working together to bring these two spacecraft together. We have confirmed docking at 12:34 p.m. Central Time. That was a contact and soft capture. Now the teams in both rooms are celebrating and congratulating all of the hard work that got us to this moment, the two spacecraft together. We're counting down, and we're going to follow along as part of our live coverage every step of the way to take you through the hatch opening steps and welcome Butch and Sonny on board the International Space Station. This is just the beginning of the celebrations, but we still have a lot to do. From here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, we'll follow along as the International Space Station crew, specifically Matt Dominic and Tracy Dyson, will work together to open up the hatches and begin the methodical sequence of preparing for Butch and Sonny to be welcomed aboard the International Space Station, including pressurizing that vestibule. For now, though, we'll toss it back over to Leah Cheshire and Jim May, who we've been working with and coordinating closely to enable today's docking. Leah and Jim.
Thanks, Gary, and welcome back to the White Flight Control Room, where you can see there is a lot of activity happening behind us. Again, we docked today at 12:34 p.m. Central Time, and we are anticipating hatch opening around 2:20 p.m. Central Time. So the teams are already stepping through those procedures on the space station and on Starliner.
And this is Boeing's Jim May. I'll be signing off. Thank you for letting me be there with you for this pretty historic moment for the Starliner crew, the ISS crew, all of NASA. My counterpart, Boeing's Rebecca Regan, will be taking you through with Leah and the rest of the team for the rest of the hatch opening and the ceremony for Starliner's crew arriving, Butch and Sunny arriving at the International Space Station.
That's right. We're not going anywhere. We're staying live until we see Butch and Sunny come floating through the hatch. We also anticipate to see some views from the crew while still aboard Starliner through the Mustang video system. We've heard some calls that those cameras have been taken off for now. That way the crew can get out of their suits and into something a little more comfortable before they join the other side of the space station crew.